Below is a draft white paper designed as a call to action for policymakers. This document is intended for inclusion in resource pools when evaluating large-scale, disruptive policy initiatives. It details historical data, quantifies the cost of silence, and provides actionable recommendations for early intervention and responsible accountability. The cost of silence, a data-driven call for proactive policy. White paper version 1.0, February 13, 2025. Executive summary. This white paper presents a comprehensive analysis of 300 years of global history to quantify the impact of inaction, what we term the cost of silence. By examining critical historical events ranging from the Atlantic slave trade to modern challenges like climate change, we demonstrate that silence and delayed intervention have consistently resulted in immeasurable human, economic, and social costs. Our multi-dimensional framework employs quantitative and qualitative measures, including lives lost, economic impact in modern USD terms, duration of societal effects, and social/cultural disruption ratings. The findings strongly advocate for the necessity of early, responsible, and accountable action. This paper calls on policymakers to adopt proactive measures, integrate data-driven decision-making, and invest in early warning and intervention systems to prevent future tragedies. Introduction. In the face of disruptive challenges and rapid global change, policymakers must weigh the costs and benefits of intervention versus inaction. Historical evidence reveals that inaction, or the sound of silence, in the face of injustice, has repeatedly resulted in devastating consequences. This document provides both a quantitative and qualitative framework to assess these costs, offering a robust resource for those involved in policy expansion and disruptive action at scale. Background. Historically, periods of inaction have led to massive loss of human life, from the Holocaust to genocides. Economic disruptions, long-term damage from wars and systemic injustices. Social and cultural upheavals, prolonged societal scars that affect generations. By quantifying these impacts, we can better understand how timely, decisive action may mitigate future costs. Methodology, data collection and quantification. Our analysis uses data drawn from 300 years of global history, focusing on key events. We quantify impacts using 4 dimensions. Human cost, estimated lives lost or adversely affected. Economic impact, economic losses adjusted to modern USD, expressed in trillions. Duration of impact, the number of years that negative consequences persisted. Social/cultural disruption, a qualitative rating on a scale of 1-10 based on historical assessments. Visualization tools. 3 primary visual models were used to communicate our findings. Bar charts, comparing human cost across major events. Timeline graphs, showing cumulative impacts over time. Radar charts, illustrating the multidimensional nature, human, economic, duration, and social disruption of each event. Data table, displayed in interactive format, allowing further exploration, which drives greater understanding. Historical event lives lost, millions, economic impact, USD trillions, duration impact, years, social/cultural disruption, scale 1 to 10. Atlantic slave trade, 1500, 1800, 12 1.0 centuries, 10 on our scale, 10. French Revolution and Napoleonic Wars, 3, 0.238. World War I, 1914, 1918, 17, 1.019. World War II and the Holocaust, 1939, 1945, 60, 3.0 2010. Cold War conflicts, 1947, 1991, 5, 0.7448. Rwandan genocide, 1994, 0.8, 0.0519. Climate change, projected, ongoing, indirect impact, 10 plus, if unmitigated, 100 plus 7. Countless others, immeasurable factors. Note, figures are approximations, synthesized from historical research and economic models. Analysis. Key findings. High human cost. Events marked by silence or delayed response, e.g. WWII, Atlantic slave trade, show a clear correlation between inaction and catastrophic human loss. Economic fallout. Inaction leads not only to immediate economic losses, but also to enduring costs that burden economies for generations. Long-term social disruption. The longer the silence persists, the more profound and lasting the societal impact, creating cycles of injustice that can persist indefinitely. Modern implications. Today's challenges, notably climate change, are beginning to echo historical patterns. Without early intervention, projected future costs are astronomical. Visual insights. Bar and timeline charts visually depict the magnitude and duration of impacts, emphasizing that early silence compounds over time. Radar charts highlight that some events, while not the highest in immediate fatalities, carry heavy long-term socio-economic burdens. Conclusions. Our analysis confirms that silence in the face of injustice carries a measurable and devastating cost. History teaches us that inaction not only magnifies human suffering, but also exacts long-term economic and cultural penalties. The cumulative impact of these events demonstrates an urgent need for proactive policy interventions to break the cycle of inaction. Recommendations for policymakers. Adopt proactive accountability measures. Establish frameworks for early detection and response to emerging injustices. Develop robust early warning systems to flag potential crises before they escalate. Integrate data-driven decision-making. Use historical data and quantitative models to inform policy decisions. Leverage visualization tools to communicate risks and benefits effectively. Foster a culture of responsible transparency. Encourage responsible public discourse that balances timely intervention with careful, ethical action. Support educational initiatives that illustrate the long-term costs of silence. Invest in long-term resilience. Channel resources into programs that mitigate the ripple effects of past inaction. Build resilient systems that can adapt to rapid changes and avert future disasters. Call to action. Policymakers must recognise that every moment of silence can magnify future costs. This white paper should serve as a resource and a catalyst for change, an urgent reminder that the time for decisive action is now. By integrating historical lessons and data-driven insights into policy planning, we can prevent the recurring cycles of inaction that have so often led to widespread suffering. We urge all stakeholders to add this document to their resource pool and commit to proactive, ethical, and responsible policy actions that prioritise early intervention and long-term societal well-being. For further discussion, data details, or implementation support, please contact your team at Skunksonic LLC. This white paper encapsulates the historical data, analysis, and policy recommendations necessary for addressing the high cost of silence. It is designed to inform and empower policymakers to take timely, measured action that will benefit both current and future generations.